Welcome to Loosening Captives channel, where we discuss everything having to do with inner healing and deliverance. Today's topic is how to break free from the lingering spirit of a vanished twin. Vanishing twin syndrome, as it is known in the medical community, refers to the phenomenon of spontaneous death or reabsorption of one of the twin embryos in utero. According to the medical experts, this commonly occurs during the first trimester of pregnancy. This phenomena is observed in 36% of twin pregnancies and in half of the pregnancies with three or more gestational sacs. Doctors do not have a definite reason why vanishing twin syndrome occurs, but some possible explanations include advanced maternal age, 30 years or more, chromosomal abnormalities in the deceased twin, use of assisted reproductive techniques such as in vitro fertilization and multiple gestations, or abnormal or small gestational sac, or genetic factors and exposure to substances that cause malformation. While the physical aspects of vanishing twin syndromes are well described, the spiritual ramifications are much more complex and profound, impacting the surviving twin throughout their life. In cases of a vanished twin, the spirit of the deceased twin enters the surviving twin or host, leading to various issues. Additionally, the surviving twin may end up with two sets of DNA due to the transfer of genetic material from the deceased twin. As a result, the surviving twin may experience a sense of loss, grief, or emptiness throughout their life. They may exhibit signs of emotional distress, such as crying fits or depression, and may even create an imaginary friend in an attempt to fill the void left by the lost twin. If the deceased twin was the opposite sex of the surviving twin or host, their DNA and spirit will influence the physical features, characteristics, and attractions of the living twin. However, this is not a part of God's design, as it suggests that the deceased twin is living through the surviving twin. If the deceased twin is angry or jealous about their untimely death, they may speak harsh and critical words to the surviving twin, hindering their progress and causing confusion, depression, and other ailments. This may lead the surviving twin to hear voices in their head, which during deliverance sessions are discovered to be the vanished twin's voice. In such cases, it is critical to invite God the Father into the deliverance session to remove the vanished twin's DNA and spirit from the surviving twin, thereby allowing them to live their life free and full that God ordained destiny. The deliverance session should proceed as follows. The surviving twin or the person leading him or her through deliverance should request of the Father access to the court of titles and deeds, and then into the court of records. They should then ask to see the surviving twin's guest registry to find out if he or she is dealing with the lingering spirit of their vanished twin. They should get confirmation from the Holy Spirit that this is the case. Then they should have the surviving twin address the deceased twin and express their sorrow over their passing in the womb. They should also express that they would have loved to live life together on earth with them, but that they will be reunited with them someday in heaven. Remind the deceased twin that God the Father understands their grief, frustration, and sense of futility. Let them know that the Father is the only one who can remove their tears, pain, and anger. If the deceased twin is angry, at God. Tell him or her that God had nothing to do with what happened, that we live in a fallen world where bad things happen, but that he or she must forgive God. Request that God the Father come and separate the DNA and spirit of the deceased twin from the living twin. Ask God the Father to come and open the eternal portal and invite the deceased twin to enter as God the Father, takes him home to heaven. This is merely an example of how to be free from the vanished twin. Always rely on the guidance of the Holy Spirit in these matters. For additional information about lingering human spirits, please visit the shop area of looseningcaptivesblog.com. And I also recommend reading Dr. Ron M. Horner's book, Lingering Human Spirits, Mystery Revealed, Volume 1 and 2. You may also find author Burke's from Sapphire Leadership Group CDs on aliens, human spirits, and Amanda Bai's teaching on from Canaan Ministries on human spirits, very useful. Now, if you're reading or if you're watching this blog, but you are not saved, the Lord Jesus Christ is not your Lord and Savior, and you would like to receive him now as your Lord and Savior, repeat this prayer after me out loud. Lord Jesus, I am a sinner in need of a Savior. Lord, would you forgive me of my sins and wash them away with your precious blood that you shed to pay the penalty for my sins. I believe that you are the Son of God and that you died and resurrected on the third day. Come into my heart and life as my Lord and Savior. With your help, I will live for you until you call me home to heaven to be with you. Thank you. Now, if you pray that prayer in faith, welcome to the family of God. Start reading your Bible and ask the Lord to provide for you a good church where you can grow in the things of God. Now, thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments, your likes, and for subscribing to my channel. And I will see you at our next video. Bye-bye.